Sorry.
No, I wasn't able to hear you, Shalmali. Do you mind repeating yourself?
Okay. Sorry, I'm repeating the question. So I said, as we are moving towards the end of the question, end of the session, this would be the last question for everyone, and this is a common question for everyone. I want each one of you to pick one point that you want your viewers to take back from this session.
I think one point I will want viewers to take from this is to rethink. Yes, you asked me what viewers can take from this. One thing viewers can take from this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there an internet issue on my end or is it on your end? Because am I audible?
I would love to ask others.
We can hear you, Alolika.
You are.
Go ahead. Yes, right. So I think one thing we can take, our viewers should take from this session is that where we live, we need to rethink what feminism looks like, right? So the four ways theory needs to be discarded. This is what I started this is what my first input in the session was, and this is the last thing I want to leave viewers with, is that we have to rethink what feminism looks like in India. We need people who are feminists in India and who want to become feminists in India and be a part of the movement towards equality, to read about caste segregation in India, to read about Brahminical patriarchy, to read about the wellness system in India, and all of these concepts that are specific to India and to the global south, and determining what feminism should look like and will look like in our country. The four-way theory is not applicable in India, and there is a paper by Rohaa, who is a professor at the university in Hyderabad, and she's written a paper about how we can describe or define feminism in India. We can define it in three phases, and the third phase has three sub-phases. This paper, I think, is one of the best I've read about feminism in India and its evolution in India. So I think that is something our listeners and viewers should read, and read about feminism specifically in India, what feminism means to women in India and to the LGBTQ plus community in India. Also, this was a part of the questionnaire, and I want to touch upon this. It said that that feminism at its core is about equality of men and women and about sameness. This is an important point, and I disagree. Feminism is not about sameness at all. It is about respecting and accommodating differences. Women do not want to be same as men. They want to become equal to men. Equality is not sameness, and I think a lot of the community, the people who read about feminism and who call themselves feminists on equivalent to sameness, and it is not. Equality cannot be achieved through equal treatment because men and women are not starting at the same place. Our race does not start at the same place. We are inherently different. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yes. So we're inherently different. So to deny those differences compromises women. We'll be forced to accept men, which fields such as medicine have already done for centuries, as a standard of measurement for all, and anything that is different is deficient. So when men are considered a standard, anything that is not overtly male, anything that is not overtly male, not overtly masculine, is considered different and somehow deficient. This is also called androcentrism. So yes, so equality cannot be sameness if you are as a viewer. We'll see equality through the lens of acceptance. We're accepting, we're not becoming the same. Equality and acceptance means that instead of regarding cultural and biological differences as problems that need to be overcome, we would aim to eliminate the unequal consequences that follow them, right? So if you were different from men, and as Prageeyaa said that men are not the problem, patriarchy is. That is absolutely right. Even women can be patriarchal. that we speak about men because men benefit from the patriarchy. Women who support patriarchy still do not benefit from the patriarchy. Men do. And that is the reason why we need to really not view men as a standard and not pursue sameness. That is also why we have terms like substantive equality and equity coming up in the community over equality, which somehow rings similar to sameness. So yeah, there are actually 2 points you can take from one, you define, and that is if you want to define feminism in India and the global south, and two, redefine what equality means and learn from Bahujan Dalit women, from marginalized and minority women, they think about equality and what they want to see in the future for themselves. That is all.
Okay, all right. So passing on to the same question to Cielo, what do you think? What would be that one point that you want your viewers to take back?
Yes, thank you, Shamali. And my key point is, before that, I really appreciate the fellow speakers because I've learned a lot from them, and also some thoughts feminism in India. Well, for me, feminism is about celebrating the womanhood. That's my key takeaways. We celebrate being a woman. Not everyone say I'm a feminist, and I really like how the thoughts of my fellow speaker talk about being objective, not subjective, not being a man hating. I agree. I still agree that men and women should earn equal pay. I believe that it's still existing even before until now, and also agree that every woman in a different part of the world should have access to birth control, whatever the age or marital status, and so on and so forth. The thing is, one of the best things I realized while I was listening to my fellow panelists today is this topic, feminism, has given enough space or room for everyone. We can disagree to agree. At the same time, we're embracing the open communication. So what make it sometimes doesn't really want other women doesn't want to be involved in political movement is other biased media, and makes a radical message to those who are still, let's say, naive and just wanted to follow the mainstream. That becomes a little bit dangerous if we don't really thoroughly understand what feminism is. So to conclude what I'm saying, I'm very limited with information. I'm celebrating womanhood wherever you are, whatever part of the world we are, and every one of us, we are showing respect to everyone's differences, whether man or women. We have this kind of notion that we don't look alike, so why should we think alike? We're all women. Not everyone say or agree with even a women's idea about feminism. But something that we disagree with those who are very radical about being a feminist, that pointing out some women like, why can't we just get along, because this is for all of us. For me, I don't really feel the pressure of being feminist, but for me, in general, I'm celebrating being a woman. And that's I think what I've been sharing and talking about when I'm writing my blog. As a woman, whether you are a survivor, whatever situation you are surviving, traumatic events, whether being a woman in your society in India or different parts of the country. So it's all about celebrating being a woman. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now passing on to the same question to Prageeyaa. What is that one point, although I'm limiting, but what is that one point that you want your viewers to take back?
I think where we can start from for everybody who maybe is new to this whole discussion or thought process about feminism, let's think about the intersectionality aspect, I would say, because if you are trying to address problems, let's not isolate problems in a way that we create more problems for ourselves tomorrow. Then we have to solve bigger issues. So, when we do speak about feminism or making the world a better place for women as a group globally, we should appreciate the intersectionality and the diversity that all of us share amongst ourselves. And I think a good approach would be to have two boxes, one where you can put problems that are applicable to women across the world, global issues, where, with very, very minor marginal differences, they are the same and can be dealt at that level, transnationally, globally. And there are issues that are extremely, microscopic in the terms of their applicability and their relevance. And then they don't need to be necessarily clubbed with the larger issues, and they can be sort of dealt with, like everyday feminism is a concept, right? So they can be dealt with as they go, in the community. And the second thing that I personally want to say, I mean, of course, each to its own, but I feel that when we do, bring about any change, I think we should not come across as very imposing in what we think is right and what we believe is right. And that holds true for women advocating feminism, like for any other school of thought, because then it's like you have an issue with patriarchy because it's imposing. So you don't want to walk down that road that you're shaming in the process of bringing about a change. So you do it with a certain element of empathy, a certain element of passion, and a certain element of inclusion also, rather than imposing. Because as women, very often we see pulling each other down because we disagree with their school of thought. We think that their thoughts are regressive, and we think that this is not good for them. So I think we should have a better approach because at the end of the day, like, each woman can make their choice, and I think that's also a part of feminism, right? Not imposing what I think is good for women as a group on somebody else. Like, my mother was never part of any of the waves of feminism. She doesn't even have online social media accounts. She was never part of Me Too. She was never part of the civil rights movement. But she's as much a feminist as anybody else is. So don't take it away, depending on what your online involvement is, because there are women that I personally know that are fighting battles every day to make sure that their dignity is constructed, and they get their basic human rights and basic access to education and basic things like clean toilets, and these are very, very real issues. So I think that what Alolika said, that let's not take a reductionist approach is a good way to look at it, and broaden the horizon of what feminism is, and celebrate it in as you go, in a micro as well as macro way. That is just my 2 cents.
Okay, and yes, Maitreyi.
I want to I took away a lot of things from all the other from what all the other panelists said, and what I want to reiterate again is, like, if you think that you can take away from today's thing is that inform yourself better. If you're talking about something and when you're endorsing something, it's very important that you understand where it is coming from. So read about it, get to know what it exactly means before endorsing, before taking it to a level where you want to advertise it, or just like make more people aware about it. It is very important that you understand from your own reference point. That is where Prageeya's point comes in, that you have to make it more relevant. You need to start with yourself. So it is about, in the end, it's just that as as a person sitting at home, I don't know, how much of an impact I would be able to make, or on how many number of people, but I can definitely start with my own actions. To just give you an example, like, how does it start from home? Like today in the lockdown, my mom has made it very clear that she has equally divided all our household chores for my brother and I. So it is it is not as if because he's a boy he's not going to wash the dishes, or because he's a boy he's there are certain things that he won't be doing. She divided it exactly the equal way. Or when it comes to paying daily wages to people working on our farms. So we are not, when, as you know, like little things, you know, how much difference it eventually makes is we are not paying the women working on our any less that than the men working on our farms. So you have to start somewhere. When we talk about feminism, it is such a metropolitan concept that we totally forget there's 80% of our country which is not even this thought. They don't even know that concepts like this have come up. And for them, you know, how our decisions are going to impact their lives. So we need to somewhere start taking little actions with, you know, with in our own world, and that how we need to very practically endorse feminism. It's just not about, you know, like we'll come, we'll talk, and then we'll be done, but it's about what kind of how are we, if you're endorsing it, let's endorse it by taking little actions at our own level. So, and again, you know what you said, that it's about celebrating womanhood, then of course it is, you know, like um, just one message that I want to give at the end of everything is that, as I always say, that no matter what age or what background you're from, don't fear to begin. You know, beginning is a beautiful and brave thing to do. So no matter what is happening, always be an encourager. Keep encouraging people around you, and just be it boys or girls, just encourage them to begin in their lives with whatever they want to do, and slowly and steadily let's lead a way by example.
Sorry, Shalini, I may just take 30 seconds, something that I wanted to share with the group, like this thought triggered from what Maitreyi just shared, that, you know, when we are even approaching, you know, problem solving, or if we are taking a more solution-oriented approach to these issues of gender equity or issues that women are facing, I think first and foremost, we should sensitize ourselves to their situation and circumstances, because the solution that you are proposing has to make sense to somebody. And it's not important that the person has to, you know, come all the way up to the top of the, you know, of being equitable or equal or successful, or whatever parameters you are assessing that person with. It's important that from where that person is, that person should have made some progress. So, like, I may not be facing issues of equal pay for equal work, but I may be, say, bothered about more representation of women at the parliament, you know, more women political leaders. That's something maybe that I care about. But if I were to look behind, maybe or look to my side, to some woman who's differently placed, or say like the person who comes to cook in my house, for her, maybe it begins and ends with equal pay for equal work. So it's important that we really understand, you know, where we are, and whatever solutions we propose, it really must make sense to that person, because progress is really not the same, you know, for everyone. Just wanted to say that.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm pretty sure we all don't want to end this conversation. We want to just keep on discussing about the issue. But yeah, somewhere this needs to come to end. And I'm really thankful for all of you, each one of you, for being today on this panel and sharing your views and insights about the topic. And thank you so much for being a part of Community Engagement Summit. I thank you on behalf of Team Empathy Free and Team You Lead. Thank you so much for being a part. And yeah, I'm just ending the